Make sure this is on the right. Yes, it is. Okay. Whoa. All right. So, this is a piece that was requested by Jam. And it's a piece and actually an artist I had never heard of before. The whole lesson today is actually gonna be about this guy because one, he has a ton of art pieces that we can talk about, and two, he has some pretty decent information on his career that we can talk about and things. And a lot of his pieces have really interesting context behind them. So I figured for today we would just be talking about this artist. Whoa. Right? Very on brand for Jam, right? Background noise, so it's not like, I don't know. All right, so are we ready? Ready to get started? Oh, also, if you want to see this painting IRL, it's actually at the Louvre, in Paris. It's an oil on canvas, and it measures 123 centimeters by 185 centimeters. For people that don't use centimeters, it's 48 inches by 72 inches. Yeah, so this is a painting titled Pandemonium. It was done 1841 by the artist named John Martin. Now let's go over a little bit of background on the guy, because like I was saying, he has a very interesting art career. Yeah, you'll see. So, basically, he was born 1789 near Hexham, Northumberland. Yes, Hexham, Northumberland. And he was actually formally trained in painting, like growing up. And it was at the age of 17 that John Martin worked, kind of odd jobs with his parents, I guess. His father specifically, they always centered around art, I suppose, but they weren't like painting, I guess. So like one of his odd jobs, I suppose, was he was a glass maker. So it had to do with art, but it wasn't specifically painting. And so he worked at this glassmaking business, and during that time, he was also painting, like, on the sidelines. And that's when he finished his first oil painting. And after he finished that painting is, I think, when he realized, like, this is what I want to do. You know, like, I want to become a painter. Glassmaking is cool and all, but, like, this is my calling. So he decided to put down, you know, the job he had with his dad and stuff, and he decided to put like all of his efforts into painting. So he wanted to pursue a career as a painter. This is one of his earlier paintings that he did. Actually, one of the ones that like got him a lot of praise and notice. So this was in 1812, meaning he was 23 years old when he painted this painting. I stretched it out as much as I could, but it's very much like a portrait style of painting. It's not really a landscape, so hopefully you guys can see it okay. But this one is titled Sadak in Search of the Waters of Oblivion. Again, it's an oil painting. So John Martin painted this. Actually, it was inspired by a tale called Tales of Guinea, Genii, Guinea. I had never heard of it before. But basically, it was written by James Ridley in 1764. And this tale is about how Sadak, which is the person in this painting at the very bottom there, is a Persian nobleman who is tasked to find the waters of oblivion in order to rescue his wife from the Sultan who had kidnapped her. That being said, though, even without the context of the story, I decided to choose this painting to show you all because it's gorgeous. And then also the fact that he was so young when he did this. He did this painting. It's crazy. It's nuts, you know, just the talent that he had. So I decided to kind of break down the painting a little bit. So like we heard in the story,
managed to back up here.
Okay, cool.
I think the only thing is just like your sound file is correct.
Okay. Good. Awesome. Yay. Yes. So, knowing the context that we do, Sadak is the guy here at the bottom. Let me get my little laser pointer out. Over here. And he's making this very perilous journey in order to save his wife. And I thought it was a very good idea of John Martin to put the composition of this painting in the way that he did, being that it's like vertical, so like a portrait position, I guess. And he put the subject matter, which is Sadak, so the man at the bottom, at the very bottom, because if he had put Sadak anywhere else on the composition, it wouldn't have made the landscape look nearly as grand as it does. So basically the whole canvas is taken up by this landscape, and it just makes Sadak look all the more small, and realize that, like, whatever this guy is doing, like, he has a long way to go, kind of deal. And that is a very important technique to do when you're doing any sort of art, is composition, and how you're going to make this composition really uplift what you're painting. So vertical media, yeah. Yeah, so I thought it was very impressive of him to do that, is to basically do 3/4 of the landscape about the mountains and the cliffs and the hills, and then just a tiny quarter at the very bottom of the canvas is the person, and then even then, like, below him is like this very scary abyss, like cliff thingy. So I thought it was very impressive and very well done. And then, so not only was the composition well done, but also the lighting as well. There's a lot of silhouettes on these cliffs to kind of give like a mystery of like what's happening or where he is, kind of deal. And he's only using highlights on the faces of the rocks to give detail. Like this rock that he's about to climb here is like very jagged, and you're like, oh my god, be careful. And then up here as well, to see just the depth and perspective that he was going for. It's very, very well done. And then to be able to almost surround this guy, Sadak, in shadows, and then just to give him enough of a bit of a spotlight so that we could see where he is, what's going on, to make him a focal point, but also to paint this man in similar tones and colors as the backgrounds. So there is a bit of a focal point, but it's not detracting from the background, which I thought was very, very well done as well. So yeah, he's the focal point, but not really, if that makes sense. So it's just to really bring home that nature I guess, in this situation is the strong force here, and this person, this human, is trying to overcome it, I guess. I just thought it was very well done, so. Back of the chat button. Yeah! It will return. It will return. Two PC streaming. Yeah, if I stream more of the forest, it'll probably be helpful, so. I mean, it did fine. When I streamed it the other day, my PC did fine. I had to lower some the settings, obviously, but tensing of the landscape. Okay, cool. Just making sure I got that. Right. Okay, so that aside, back to the painting and the history and stuff. Funny enough, when this painting was first shown, it wasn't very popular at first, but it ended up being bought by a very rich couple that decided to buy this painting, and that's when it got famous, I guess. Was the fact that it actually did get bought by like rich people, so that's fun. Okay. Yeah, I mean it should be fine if I'm doing 2 PC, so. Okay, so this next, so this piece got sold, and John Martin is like slowly starting to get some popularity, and is, I guess, becoming like a blip on the map, right? So this next piece, I'll explain it a little bit, of course, but this one is titled The Creation of Light. It was done 1824, John Martin, of course. Basically, John Martin, after the selling of his first piece, he starts to figure out his audience, right? So he decides to focus on landscapes. So his depictions of nature really spoke to people, as well as depicting tales from either the Bible or classical mythology. People were just very drawn to it. And it's funny because you'll notice in a lot of his paintings, there will always be this very bold lightning in his paint, like in almost all, not all of his paintings, but like almost all, basically. And I'll go back to this one. See, this like lightning kind of very bold lines. I notice he does that in like a lot of his paintings, so. Dark Souls. Hi, Duke. Yeah, and this is like 1824, so like what the fuck? Like it's yeah, wild. I was gonna say whack, but whack is a bad thing apparently. So it's wild that his work, even though it's like from way back when, it can still translate now very well. So yeah, so he figures out like, okay, this is what I'm good at. I'm good at landscapes. Not only that, but depicting these tales, these stories that like everybody knows, aka the Bible or classical like mythology and stuff. Everybody knows those things. They'll recognize it and they'll be drawn to my pieces. So I'm gonna focus on that. Actually, well, that and because you were being mean to be, so. Okay, this is where I started writing and I was like, oh shit, this is kind of getting confusing. Okay. Illuminated version of Paradise Lost? Oh, So where is it? Oh wait, BP doesn't have his. Here's on. This artist did a lot of pieces from Paradise Lost. There we go. Did you type? Oh, because you don't have. Oh, wait. Can you hear me or not? Wait. I don't know. I thought you couldn't hear me, so I didn't want to speak to you. And you're like, I hope she's not talking to me. Like, rock on. Okay, cool. So you can't hear me. Okay, so. Yes, this part of my notes got a little confusing because I should really invest in note cards, maybe? I don't know. It's just, so like, if I decide, here's my notes, by the way. Look at all these notes. Goodness. If I decide, like, hey, this passage actually would do way better if I put it up. Oh, you can't even see it, though. If this passage does better up here, I can't really change that. So I have to put a bunch of like arrows being like, this goes before that. And like, you know what I mean? So anyways, okay, so that's for pandemonium. This one is for this one. This. Okay, yes, got it. In the whole of college. Yeah. I do a lot of, so not this side, but like I did like maybe a full front back page and half another page. Yeah, that's how all of my little journals look like. They're just full of like notes and things. So I'm telling you, this research takes me like a long time, so that's why I decided on Tuesdays, my days off or whatever, I'm just going to focus entirely on art history notes rather than like cramming it into like 6 hours, you know. Clown college. Oh my God. Okay, back to it. We're getting wily in the class. We need to settle down. Right, so, yes, so let's talk about the creation of light. As you can imagine, this is, in fact, from a biblical story when God was like, light, boom, makes light, the end. Basically, in the 1830s is when John Martin discovered, it's called mezzotints, M-E-Z-Z-O tints, mezzotints. And you might be thinking, what the heck is a mezzotint? I thought the same thing. It's not as complicated as you think it is, but basically, a mezzotint is similar to wood carving in that you start with a completely black background, but get this, instead of being made out of wood, like a wood carving, this is actually made out of metal. So obviously it takes a lot more work to chip away at this like slate of metal. But basically you kind of have to work from darks because you start with completely black background, and then when you start chipping away at this metal, it starts exposing like highlights, kind of like a stamp, I guess. I don't know if you guys have ever seen how stamps are made, but it's the same thing. If you want to create like a white part, you have to take off a piece of the wood or the metal or the stamp, I guess, in order for the ink to not go in there, and it'll make, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? You guys get it. But anyways, yes. So yeah, so instead of working with oils on canvas and things, John Martin decides to go with these mezzotints, because there's a lot of carving, there's smoothing, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but obviously it pays off like tenfold because it's gorgeous, right? Not only that, but like I said with the stamp, is with these mezzotints, you can actually make them like a stamp. So John Martin was like, hey, if I make these mezzotints, these stamps, then I can make multiples of my art instead of having one oil on canvas, right? I can have several of I can print these, like I can sell these, I can print them. Like this is actually a really good business that I want to get into. And he was right. It was fast production. It obviously still took a lot of work and a lot of sweat and tears to like smooth out this slab of metal. Made a stamp out of metal. Got it. Hi, Annie. Sensible with Friday prep. I'll believe it when I see it. Excuse you. What is that supposed to mean? Metal stamps. That's clever. Yeah. So it kind of became a thing, during that time period. Like mezzotints kind of became popular around that time, so it makes sense that he decided to pick it up. Yes, so this is one of his prints, I suppose. So this is a print. This isn't the actual metal stamp. We're just gonna call it a metal stamp. This is what the print looks like after, the carving and the smoothing out the metal and things like that. Exactly. Cyclones and tornadoes are the same, but also like not the same, and metal stamps. Yeah, you're good. You're keeping up. Mm-hmm. So basically, so now getting back to, this, sorry, because I'm over here now. So getting back to this painting from the very beginning, remember? Pandemonium. Like VP was saying earlier about Paradise Lost, John Martin decides to do these prints. This one is actually a print. Oh, also look at the... What did I tell you? I'm telling you, this little lightning thingy, he always does this little lightning bolt. Somewhere he does it. Yes, so this is actually from one of his mezzotint prints, but he decided to paint it like on top of the print, like give it color, I suppose. So, this one's wild. So yes, this painting actually depicts his depiction from a passage from Paradise Lost, which I've actually never read, I don't think. But it's, I guess, a story, or is it a poem? It might be like a poem thing, but it's written by John Milton. Paradise Lost. I've heard of it, I've never read it, but basically there's a passage where it talks about Pandemonium, which is the palace of Satan. So this is Satan's like chill spot, I guess. But basically, Pandemonium rises up from the dark depths, and Satan, which is actually this guy over here, this is Satan. He's basically like calling up his palace to like fuck over the world or whatever. So I thought that was interesting, the fact that he depicted Satan as like a warrior in like armor and a helmet, because usually how they would depict Satan is, horns, a pointed tail, like bleh, like a demon kind of deal. So I thought that was cool that they made him look like an actual, like a suit of armor and like a warrior, rather than just like some evil guy that not a single panda, right? No pandas in Pandemonium. Yeah, so this is the passage in Paradise Lost where Satan summons up his palace. No pandas, I'm sorry. I feel like it's a little misleading, but no, there's no pandas. Yes, so, going back to, yeah, so he's doing these prints for, Paradise Lost and, things like that, and the mezzotints, as we can see from this previous one, it works very well for his art, right? Because he does a lot of like bowl, or even heck, this one over here. This would look incredible as a print as well. He uses a lot of very contrasting dark silhouettes. So if you think about it like as a print or like a mezzotint, I suppose, it makes sense. It really elevates his art because of these very bold shadows. So it was perfect for him, right? And because of his Paradise Lost pieces, he was actually getting a lot of popularity, like international levels of popularity, which is exciting. You're like, yay, an artist who's alive to actually experience his success, right? So yeah, he is doing incredibly well with his art when he produces these Paradise Lost prints. And it's because of that, he's deciding to go into the more biblical side of things, and he decides to start a series about different stories from the Bible, and he wants to title this series Illustrations of the Bible, which is kind of what we saw. I think it was this one over here, but yes. So yeah, he's like, okay, I did Paradise Lost. We're gonna keep going with this kind of like prints and things like that, and we're gonna move on into the Bible, right? Angel, and that's how angels were also depicted. Yeah, I feel like they were very, they were depicted very pretty compared to like, I think what they're supposed to look like. But that just might be me looking at like Christian art and things. They made angels like very beautiful. So anyways, yes. So now I decided to put this piece, and it's framed the way it is. I'll explain in just a second. But this is the Fall of Nineveh. It was done in 1835. And this was part of his Illustrations of the Bible series. And I decided the next slide is a zoom in of the actual piece, but I decided to put it like this because if you can see here at the bottom, and it's pretty light, but there's like a bunch of writing here at the bottom. It says the title of the piece and everything, and that's actually how all of these prints were formatted. It was the print at the top, and at the bottom there was the title of the piece, and then I think like his signature or just like the date, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's how he was printing these and like selling them as prints, right? Yeah, so the series started in 1831, and he wanted to do a total of 40 illustrations. So this is one, right? He wanted to do basically 40 tales, illustrations from the Bible, from both the Old Testament and the New Testament. The lightning, I'm telling you, the lightning. It's over here, lightning. Yes, but unfortunately, the series actually had to be cut short by a lot. So instead of making 40 like he'd wanted to, he was actually only able to make 20 of the 40. So he could only make half of them. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I feel the biggest problem he ran into, and I think a lot of other artists ran into this problem as well. But and it really sucks. But basically, so artists were starting to print things, right? So meaning fast art, that kind of deal. That being said, the wrong people also found out, like, oh, we can make this, like, we can copy what they're doing. So basically, John Martin wasn't able to finish the rest of this series because there's a lot of not very nice people duplicating his art. So these prints, duplicating them, they probably looked like shit, but duplicating them and selling them for much, much cheaper. So no one was buying his art at the time. So not only that, but also because just to make one of these, it's a lot of work, right? He has to hand carve all of these things, and he did have help with the printing process. But as for actually carving these slabs of metal, he was doing it himself. So yeah, basically he couldn't keep up with the money, basically, because it was coming out of his pocket. You know what I mean? Like he just couldn't fund it anymore. He almost went completely bankrupt because of the people copying his art and selling it for like way cheaper kind of deal. Yeah, it's really heartbreaking to read because he was doing very well. He was doing so well in his career. And then these fucking assholes that like think artists are worth like nothing were like, you know what, we can do that, but like way cheaper and like way faster. So like, yeah, he basically had to scrap the whole series. Like I said, he only got 20 of these like mezzotint prints, slab thingies out there. And he decided to sell the mezzotint slabs themselves, just to make a little bit of money. And he was able to sell them. But because he sold those metal slabs was the only reason he didn't fall completely bankrupt. So yeah. I know, and that's why I was gonna say, and that's why, yes, you should fucking build a shrine for artists, because we go through so much fucking shit and get so much stolen. Like, ugh. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, incredible. There's 20 of them, like I said. This is only one of them. But this is actually the last print he did. So this was the 20th and the last mezzotint carving that he did. But he has a whole, he does like Adam and Eve, like in the Garden of Eden. He does a lot of other stories and tales from the Bible. They're all gorgeous and beautiful. I could have just sat here and we could have looked at all of them, but it would have taken quite a while, so. Snore dog collab. What? Hi, Shuma. What is that? AI Bro stealing his art, making. I mean, it's just a matter of time. They're gonna be able to duplicate his art, and you know, it's gonna end up being an art style that you could do in AI for sure. I don't have any doubts that people are doing that for artists that are alive, you know, so of course they're gonna do it for like these artists that can't defend themselves anymore kind of deal. Yeah, no, that stuff I've already lost hope, gave up. It still makes me super upset, but yeah, I just, ugh. Yeah, so this one, this next one, there we go. Here's kind of like a zoom in of it, so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, it's really bad, so. I'm not even surprised anymore when they take art styles from like old artists like this, but it's always like very frustrating when they take art styles from like artists that are alive right now. So that one is just like so many levels of gross, you know? Like, and I get it, like not everybody can afford, you know, to commission these incredibly talented artists, but that doesn't really matter. Then okay. Well, like, it's fine. I'm doing just fine, you know, like, kind of deal. It doesn't mean you should steal from people. Hi, Jim. Oh yeah, this was your artist. Yeah. I forgot. Oh no. The VOD will be here, and I'll have it saved and all of that, but the exposure, definitely. No, don't say sorry. No, none of that. I think Shuma took your seat though, Jam, so I don't know if that might be a little problem, but yeah, Jam, this the salmon, yeah, I was in my Discord announcement, I was saying that of like my list of like top artists, this artist might actually be one of them now. But yeah, good to have you here. I mean, if anything, you can go back and watch the beginning of the VOD and stuff, so.
Melissa has just subscribed. Giggity.
Oh my god. Hi, Mel. Oh, because 69 months. Oh my god. Hi, Mel. Thank you for the resub. Pretend it's live. I mean, you can chat. Right? She can never resub again. You can't break the 69. Yes, we are talking about this print here titled The Fall of Nineveh. And if you actually look online, there is a version of this painting where it's actually painted with like color and all of that. Both, of course, are incredibly impressive, but I do like this grayscale black and white theme going on, so I decided to put this one. So, this is the Fall of Nineveh. I decided to just do a little synopsis of what's going on in this print. Yes, so this was the last engraving print thing in John Martin's biblical series. This is the very last one, but this depicts the tale in the Bible from the book of Nahum, Nahum. Basically, Nineveh was this huge, grand city that was thriving. But it said that the city was full of liars and sin. I think they also practice magic, whatever that means. back then. I don't know what that means back then. If that means like they studied medicine. But anyways, it was said that they studied witchcraft. They did magic. They also worshipped not God. They worshipped their own gods. It was like hoodlum city, I guess. And it was because of these horrible, terrible deeds that it was prophesized that this city would fall. And it did. Basically, God was like, you guys don't worship me. Get God. And then the city fell and got attacked. And yeah, it didn't go well, as you can see from this print. So, pulled rabbits out of hats, right? She's a witch. Learning about this in school. Yeah, me too. I didn't remember exactly the details, and it was very interesting because I could have gone into the whole like actual history on like Nineveh and where it was. I think it was in what's now modern day like Iraq kind of deal. That's where Nineveh was. And then something about like these floods started like hitting the city, and because of that, some sort of an army, like an enemy army, decided to capitalize on that and like attack the city and something like that. It was crazy. There's a lot of info I could have researched into, and I was like, I feel like I'm kind of straying from the point, so like maybe I'll leave that for another day. But yes, basically, when you go to a little Bible school like I did, they're like, Nineveh was full of very bad people. They were all liars and they didn't worship God, so God killed them. The end. And you're like, oh. Okay. Like, fun. I mean, to be fair, like, obviously this was like way back in the day, so I'm sure there was a lot of fucked up shit happening that I have no doubts about, but yes, most notably, they practiced magic. They worshipped other gods that weren't God. I think there was also like, people being owned as like property and like slavery and things like that. So there was truly like a lot of bad stuff. Yeah. So there's a whole like prophecy of how the city's gonna fall, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah. Hi, Bishop. Oh God, I'm late. Yeah, a little late. Yeah, we're talking about Nineveh. Old Testament. Yeah, I know. Old Testament God, man, he is a drama queen. He's just all over, like, Old Testament. He's like, you're dead, hate you, fuck you, like, girl, that's his Wilden era, was Old Testament. Exactly. New Testament, he's like, we gotta forgive. I love everyone equally. Once he had a kid, he mellowed out. No. Oh. So they had to die. Yeah. Oh my God. Whack. And I'll use that in actual good whack. It was whack. So, right. Yes. So that is the context for this print here. Again, like I was saying, this is one out of very many prints depicting biblical stories. Though that being said, I would highly, highly, highly suggest you all just check out all of this artist stuff. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Probably list of like my top favorite artists ever now. So definitely give his other stuff a look at. So No more reason. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. Smoked pot. He was just chillaxing all the time. Yeah, so basically, like I was saying, before about, John Martin, how he almost went bankrupt. Not necessarily because of this, series of prints, but because of unfortunate, situations, people stealing his art, yada yada. He had to cut the series short, sell the, metal prints that he had already made and stuff, just to keep like somewhat financially afloat. This is one of his, like, are you, what? Sorry. There's a little lightning again. Sorry, this one, God. Anyways, like, how was this done? 1851. You're gonna look at me and tell me this was done 1850. I would have been like, you're lying. You're lying to me. There's no way. But anyways, yes. This one, oil painting, of course, on canvas. This one is titled The Great Day of His Wrath, done 1851. So, like I was saying, after his almost financial huge scare there, he and almost near bankruptcy, John Martin decides, put the prints aside for a little bit. As good and fun as it was, it's just too financially taxing, or it just takes too long in comparison to oil paintings. So he decides to go back to oil paintings. And it was during this time, he did a trilogy, actually, focusing on the Book of Revelations. So this is one of the 3 that he did for the Book of Revelations. They're all very gorgeous and beautiful, but it's said that these last 3 paintings were his masterpieces. Yeah, so like this is like what he's most famous for, I suppose. So that was, kind of later on in his life. This was done 1851 because unfortunately, he actually, in I think 1853, he suffered from a stroke, which left the entire right side of his body paralyzed. And since that happened, it was said that he just really wasn't able to recover. And unfortunately, he did pass away in 1854. And that is the life and career of John Martin. The end. Closing the book. Notes, done. Yeah, so this was like one of his very last paintings ever. I think he did this one, Great Day of His Wrath, and then I think he did another one where like a bunch of angels come down. They're like, hey, what up? And they're like taking all the good Christian people to heaven or whatever, all very gloomy kind of stuff, but I chose this one because this one just floors me. I can't believe it. Oh look, so not only is there the little lightning like here, right, but it's here at the top too. Big lightning. Woo! Look how neat that is. Like the whole earth and like the city is like folding over on itself. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like buildings here. God, it's so cool. Yay, clap. Yeah, we did it. He came down in a bubble and made art, dog. Yeah. You're gonna look at me and tell me I'm wrong? Grow up. Yeah, so, yes, he has done a lot of paintings. Definitely go check out this artist. I definitely learned a heck of a lot because I don't think I had ever heard of this artist to begin with until Jam suggested it for art history. So again, Jam and whoever else suggests artists for my art history stuff, I really can't thank you guys enough because I don't know if I ever would have found this artist otherwise, you know? And I mean, look at it. Like now he's probably one of my favorites. So Jam and whoever else, everyone else that like suggests artists, we find some really, really cool stuff because of you guys. So, yeah, I don't know how I would have found this guy otherwise. So, yeah, thanks for that.